I always do record to this computer, but I assume recording to the cloud's probably easier. Who knows? All right, let me go ahead and share my window right here, and we'll get started. I think, oh, screen sharing is paused because I messed with it. Sorry, everyone. Here we go. Okay, just making sure I have chat and everything up too, so if folks start talking, we can address it. Welcome everyone, happy Hacktober, and also October. We'll jump right into it. We've got a few things on the agenda. I added a thing. It looks like Tom's added a few things, and then obviously we've got, and maybe I'll just pop it on the top of the agenda, which is KEDA 2.0 beta, which has been out for a bit now. So I don't know if there's any learnings or pressing action items. So maybe to start with, we'll just quickly go through intros, because we do have a good amount of folks here. And I think I've met everyone before, but just want to make sure as well. So I'll start. So I'm Jeff, I work at Microsoft. I will introduce a few folks from Microsoft as well for the sake of time. So we also have Tsuyoshi, who is on Anirudh's team, and we have Anirudh, who is on Anirudh's team. And they are at Microsoft as well on the serverless team here. Tom, Travis, you both want to intro in whatever order. I guess, Tom, maybe you go first briefly.
My name's Tom Kerkhoff. I'm an Azure architect at a company called Coolit.
Great. Travis?
Yep, Travis Bickford. I'm with Shutterstock, stock photo company. Staff engineer on the cloud DevOps team.
Great. Shubham?
Hi, my name is Shubham. I'm from the photo division in India. And also for division in Nigeria.
Me, or is the audio not really good?
We heard you, Shubham, but the audio went.
Okay. Is it audible now?
Yeah, there's just a lot of, it sounds like, I don't know, some kerfuffle behind you. The audio is just really poppy, but we heard a brief intro. So Shubham, thanks for joining. Ritika, do you want to do a brief intro, either unmute or on chat? Either one's fine. Okay, maybe not. We'll leave this as Sorry, Shubham. It's still coming through really poppy. I don't know if it's a device thing or if it's a location thing, but it sounds like I put a stereo on full blast right next to my ear. and looking at the cameras, I think everyone else is having the same experience. Okay, so Shubham, Ritika, it looks like Ritika's audio disconnected too, so we won't worry about that. It's Zbigniew, last but not least.
Hey, my name is Zbigniew. I'm working at the serverless team at Red Hat.
Yep,
so that's it.
Great. All right, we will jump right into it then. Maybe we'll start with KEDA 2.0 beta. I saw the beta go out, and then when we had the checks or the stand-up after that, it was my son's birthday, so I missed the last stand-up. I guess anyone want to chat about that? From what I've seen, it sounds like it's going well. I don't know if there's any big learnings or things worth calling out, or just in general. I don't know if anyone has any updates on that one.
Yeah, I guess it is going well, like from the response, and we were thinking about releasing the beta 2 with some of the fixes and the Helm chart fixes. So I think that we are good to release the second beta.
Okay. Is it worth going over some of the action, like the pending ones now, and then maybe we can even just make sure they're assigned, or like if you, Tsuyoshi, Anirudh want to jump on any of them, or we can wait?
Well, there are like a couple of minor things, so I think that we are good to go. Like there is like from the KEDA 2 perspective, there is like the one outstanding issue for Tsuyoshi on the push scalers for scale jobs. and then the rest is just some minor things. So I think we are good.
Yeah. So
And
service bus one is there, right?
yeah,
It
and
looks like a provider code. Yeah, I need to do the repro and fix that.
yeah, and to this related for some like the feedback from the beta I've seen so far is there are some requests for the clarification around the scale jobs. So maybe Tsuyoshi, if you can take a look on the discussions on GitHub, and some are even on the Slack. So
Okay.
it would be nice to provide some clarifications.
Sure.
So maybe there's the minor thing that to improve the documentation on this a little bit. But other than that, I haven't seen any big problems.
Right. Yep. The ask I've seen a few times is when are we taking this thing 2.0 instead of 2.0 beta, which is good. That's a good signal that folks are like, this seems fine. when can I use this safely in production without feeling like I'm using a beta product? So, and on that note, I was thinking around the end of this month, at least that's kind of like what I had in my head. I don't even know if I've vocalized that before. Tom Zibianek, anyone on the call, do you have thoughts on like what our goal should be for when we make this the default 2.0 version?
I think last time we discussed to we shipped the beta and then aim for early October. So now I would release the beta 2 personally, and then just wait a week or maybe 1 or 2, and then ship the full release.
Yeah, the mid-October is like, I guess, like the good option.
So maybe, yeah, if we can close on these ones, Tsuyoshi, if you're able to fix that, and then Zibianek either flag on the other ones, maybe when we meet next in 2 weeks, like on the 15th, we can kind of do the go, no go, but plan on kind of using that as let's do this. And then, you know, starting on that day or shortly after, we could start to roll out the 2.0 stuff and such, which would be great. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so back to the agenda stuff. Actually, before we do that, because usually I do this too, I didn't, when we were doing intros, I didn't really go around for any other updates. Does anyone have any just kind of like status stand-up type updates of things that they made progress on, or even things that you'd want to add to the agenda if there's a little bit longer discussion point? I don't know if anyone has any, just like, hey, I was able to get this PR open, or this is what I plan on doing that they want to share before we jump into agenda.
We got an episode on the Azure Podcast. I'll add a link to the show. It's not much.
And do you have other stuff scheduled too, Tom, in terms of promotion?
There is a virtual meetup for Hacktoberfest tomorrow, where we also have a video that I recorded how they can contribute. But other than that, I don't think so.
Yeah, most of the stuff I've been doing is internal. I was chatting with the Azure Fridays team because we have this on the docket for Azure Friday, but they have a different Azure Friday they want me to do first, and then they said that we can do the KEDA one. So I'm trying to get the other one done quickly so that I can get to the KEDA one. Maybe around the 2.0 stuff, we'll see. Okay, great. Anyone else have anything they want to share or flag, or just a status update?
Yes, I forgot one. We're checking with Alibaba Cloud because they're using KEDA to do a blog post on CNCF and to get the name on the website, which would be major. That's it.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I've seen that thread. I like poke into it, but I haven't dug into it. Is there anything, especially Tom, that I could help with on that thread, or for the most part, are we covered and it's just that team authoring the post at this point?
Now we're waiting for Alibaba Cloud, and then we'll just have to help set that up and see if we need to provide some content. And I think we can also check if we could do a webinar maybe as a reference case how they use KEDA. But
Sure.
For now, we don't have to do anything.
Yep. Yeah. And you're thinking like a CNCF webinar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good idea. Okay, great. I'm just pausing in case anyone else has anything they want to flag, and then we can just go through these items.
I got one.
Go for it, Travis.
I got a PR out there for the Helm chart, which has incorporated Zodiac's API CRD changes, but there's a bug introduced in Helm 3.3 in regards to the linting, and the PR is blocked right now because of that. So I was wondering if we can at least temporarily revert to a prior version of Helm for the linting part of the CI checks in the chart.
Yeah, you can do that for now. Is it the name of the service? What was it? The role that's blocking it?
The what?
Is it
The
the name?
cluster role, yeah.
Yeah, for now we just ignore that one. So if that's the blocker, then we can just merge it anyway. Or if we can decrease the version, that's also fine. But for now, we can ignore it.
Sorry, Tom. Yeah, or we can even like rename the cluster role, like
Yeah,
if
also fine.
if it is needed. So like whenever like option is the like the easiest one or like the more convenient, I'm okay to do it. So Travis, if you prefer to downgrade Helm, we can go.
That's in the GitHub Actions though, right? Like I wouldn't have permission.
Ah, okay.
For me, that would be the easiest. I think I do like the way it's named because I think that's the more proper way to do role names is namespace them and actually in the name itself using the colon.
Is it easier to give Travis permission, or does someone else want to do this stuff? I'm okay either way.
Happy to give him permission.
I also I have no concerns with that.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, great. I'll make a note to do that right after this call. I'm getting background noise like crazy, by the way. Apparently it's yard work day, but enjoy. I can't remember how to do this stupid action item.
It's called work from home.
It is. No, it's not that one. Whatever. Jeff to add Travis to have permission for GitHub Actions. There it goes. Okie dokie. Great. Thanks for the update, Travis. That's a great progress, and we'll make sure to unblock you there. Okay, Tom, I think we're to you then on this proposal. I'll go ahead and open it up so folks can see it. I actually don't know. I don't know if this is the cluster.
It's because HackMD was super slow lately.
Oh yeah, I think it was slow. I think it was slow because we had like a year and a half's worth of notes, so I archived a bunch of them, and now it seems to be speedy again.
Yeah, that's fine for me. We can stick with it.
But I'm fine to move too. I really don't care. We'll just have to update the links.
If it works, there's no need to move.
Okay. Okay, so the main one is just a reference to these agenda items where we have other agenda items, yes?
No, I just literally copied everything.
Oh, I see. This is September 17th. So the action item is, the discussion is, should we move to Google Docs or should we stay on HackMD?
Yeah, but since it's better now, we can just stick, I guess.
Yeah, are there other things about Google Docs that would make it easier or better? I kind of just chose HackMD because I love Markdown for whatever reason.
I think how it's set up now is that nobody can add things to the document, but they can do comments with suggestions.
Sure.
So that, it has more control, but I don't know. Let's just stick with HackMD.
Okay. If it starts getting laggy again, though, even after we archived a bunch of old stuff, I do think we should go because I noticed it as well. Whenever I would type, it would do that kind of thing.
It was unusable.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Okay, great. So I'll pop in this one. I had a conversation with a customer, a Microsoft customer right now who is building a massive solution, heavily reliant on KEDA. They want to use KEDA to scale like 100 plus pods. They're kind of in the final design stage, but the question they asked me is, given the fact that KEDA is a single operator, what guarantees or what recommendations do we have around making it more highly available? And so I kind of gave like a generic answer, which was like, well, you could partition by namespace. So like maybe those 100+ pods, like 10 of them are in one namespace, 10 of them are in the other. And then you could have multiple operators, one per namespace, and you just tell it to scope to scaled objects in that namespace. They were asking, and I think I got confused here because I seem to remember an issue around readiness and liveness probes. So that ideally, even if the operator did kind of crap out and stop responding, that Kubernetes would detect it and hopefully recycle it and clean it up. However, on retrospect, I actually think that conversation might have been due to, on the function side, making sure that an Azure function container has readiness and liveness. I don't know if we've implemented that as well. So it's just kind of a discussion topic of like, is there more we could or should do here? Is what I said more or less the state of the world? Maybe we do have readiness and liveness. The other thing, like they were floating around, they're like, well, maybe we allow multiple replicas, but they have to get a lock. And so like, even if I have 2 replicas of the operator, one of them is more or less idle unless the lock becomes available and then it immediately comes back online. I don't know if that's necessary. So maybe I'll just pause there. Zibyanek, I don't know if you have any thoughts of like what's there today and if there are some potential things we could do here to alleviate concerns from folks like that customer.
Yeah, I was thinking about the same like recently or maybe the last couple of months, but basically current state is that the KEDA operator has the liveness and readiness probe. So once it is down, it should like Kubernetes should automatically scale another pod. So spinning like multiple replicas of the operator doesn't make any sense because, as you said, there is the lock. So the other replica has to wait for releasing the lock. But I would say that the bottleneck of KEDA currently is the metric server, because we can easily deploy multiple operators like around the clusters that will watch just for particular namespace or namespaces, but there could be only one metric server in the cluster. And we are relying on a library which comes from Kubernetes for extending the metric server, which currently doesn't allow us to deploy multiple metric servers. So I was thinking about solution, how to deal with this. So it would need like a significant change in the library. I have an idea how to do it, but still like it's like a lot of work. So it won't be that easy, but this is the only solution I can see at the moment. So yeah, they could replicate like the operators, so they will watch particular namespaces, but still like when it goes to like the HPA still like talks to the metric server, so we will need to scale the metric server as well. So this is the critical point from my point of view. And the other thing related to like the performance overall is the other proposal I had, because currently we are, for instance, if you imagine like that I'm using like the KEDA and I'm using it to, for example, to scale deployment that is consuming Kafka or the Kafka topics. Currently what KEDA does, it basically opens a new connection to Kafka every request. So basically we open the connection, make the request for pull the metrics from the Kafka, and then close the connection. And next interval, we like reopen the connection and do it like once again. So I was thinking about like reusing the connection, like pulling it internally in the KEDA. So this could help as well, like from performance point of view. I have opened issue for the second topic. I can probably link it over here. So basically this is the current state. Yeah. Any ideas or anything that you would like to add?
I'm just curious, Jeff, if the question from the company that you worked with, was it around scale, or was it around fault tolerance or high availability?
The main one they were asking about was around like, how do we make sure that this thing doesn't have a single point of failure?
So it was fault tolerance.
Yeah. I think these are great topics. But yeah, this one, and candidly, I don't know what the largest scale KEDA deployment we have is, but like these do make me wonder, like even if they went with like a single operator, if they have 100 pods, which with arguably 100 different event sources, are these other things going to spring up on them as they continue to go throughout? But yeah, their main one was like, hey, what happens if whatever, like I hit like my code just locks up or my container just locks up? Like, is my solution more or less down until I manually go reboot the thing? Is there any way that I could do more active replication of the KEDA operator?
But the liveliness probes that Zbigniew talked about, maybe so we think that might help, right?
Yeah, in theory, if it locks up, that as soon as Kubernetes does a liveness check, it would be like, oh, this thing's dead, and then it would recycle it itself, and then in theory it would be healthy again, unless we had some larger bug at play.
Right, makes sense.
Can we run? Oh, sorry.
I just want to add that if they like split the deployments amongst like multiple namespaces and will deploy multiple operators that will watch for the particular namespaces, it could help a little bit, because if one operator is down, it will like affect just bunch of deployments. But still, there is the one metric server, which can be like fault tolerant from the.
Can we run multiple instances of the same operator?
Yes, but each operator has to watch different namespace. So if you have like two operators watching the same namespace, it would be like messy, because.
Is that our limitation or the operator's limitation?
Oh, it's basically the limitation of how operators and controllers are working like in Kubernetes, because what they are doing, they are basically listening on the Kubernetes API, and when there is some change on some object they are watching, they are do some action. So imagine you have two operators watching the same namespace. So if there is an action, for example, to update the scaled object, both operators will try to update the scaled object in the same time. So it will be like, race conditioning and.
We might need to write some advisory docs then for that.
Yeah, and that's where we did talk about this before 1.0, and I think we would like, rather than like, there's a world we could go as crazy as like a stateful set and have like a leader and blah blah blah, but it's like that's all candidly a little bit overkill. It feels, and so we're like, well, at the very least, we'll let people manually partition through namespaces so that they could have. I guess lower the impact and not have all 100 in this case relying on one. But it is something that's more or less only documented in that GitHub issue and not somewhere else. And so that's where I flagged there might be a best practice here. Okay, this is fine. I don't have any. I guess the only other question I have, Zbigniew, because I kind of chew on this and circle back with the customer and see where they're at. The single metric server thing, as far as you know, is the limitation solely in the library, or does like the Kubernetes metrics system really only allow one metric server, and that's why the library only allows one?
Yeah, that's basically like both options at the same time. So basically the library is the extension for Kubernetes.
Sure.
So there is one extension point, so the library needs to basically act as like an umbrella for multiple metric servers. This is the idea.
Would it ever make sense to extract out any scalar call to another service? So like the metrics if you had another service that just dealt with scalar calls, and the metric server actually interfaced with that instead?
Yeah, this is the idea I'm having, like basically that like extending the metrics adapter library that is like doing the calls from the Kubernetes API, and it will distribute the requests to the particular, like, let's say, deployments, where each will do the call for a particular scalars. Yeah, that's the idea. But I don't want to make this option like KEDA only. So we could do this like internally. So we could like hack our usage of the metrics adapter a little bit. But there are still like problems when users are using different tools that are using the same library for extending the Kubernetes metrics API. So I guess that the ultimate goal is to have like one solution that will allow users to use like multiple KEDA instances in the cluster, and at the same time to use the other tools that are consuming the same library. Yeah, so we should do the extension point in the library material.
Would it make sense if we move out the scalar logic into dedicated containers so that we isolate it on that level as well? So if there's a bug, for example, or there's a lot of, let's say we have 1,000 containers all using service bus, and then we have 10 of them using Kafka. If we have separate containers, the load on the Kafka one would be less than service bus, so that if service bus is draining the whole container, Kafka is not impacted. Is that possible, or would it add more overhead by splitting it?
I guess it would add more overhead, but these are like the scenarios that at first we need to modify the library itself, and then we can probably like think about this kind of scenarios. But it does make sense, I think.
Yeah, because then it would be easier from a user perspective, where I only have to deploy the scalars that I'm interested in, and all the rest I don't care about. Or if I have my own scalar, it's easier to plug it in the system.
Basically,
we make every scalar an external scalar.
I don't think this is like beneficial, because if the user doesn't use any scalar, like, or is using, for example, just the Azure scalars, and they don't use other scalars, it doesn't affect the code at all, because the code is just idle.
It's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
You kind of hinted at Zbigniew, but the reason I was curious on the metrics thing is I didn't know if there was any projects that are probably in the same boat, where they're relying on the metrics server. Like, I don't know if Knative is using this metrics API or something similar to that, where like maybe we just reach out and we're like, hey, is this something that you've hit too? And like best case, they're wanting to tackle it and maybe throw a resource or two at it. And then we can kind of try to figure out a solution that helps everyone. But I don't know. I don't know if that's or what people are doing with it in general.
Yeah, that's exactly the case. Knative is not using it, but there are other projects. I currently forgot the name, but the latest one was probably Datadog or something like this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
sure.
Datadog.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm planning to do this. So I'm planning to basically like sync with all those people, and probably with the Kubernetes, with the respective Kubernetes working group, because I'm not sure like. We should definitely do this in cooperation with other folks. Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, let me know how I can help there, and feel free to loop me in any spot. But it sounds like you've got a good handle on some thinking there, and definitely a worthwhile thread. I think I mostly wanted to validate my thinking, and especially making sure we do have like readiness and liveness. So I'll circle back. I suspect this will be good enough, but if I learn anything else, or if I find out that they have any issues doing some of this, I'll be sure to bring them back in a following stand-up.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but this is a workable solution right now. Obviously, there's ways we can improve it, but I think it will work for them. Okay. So that's all I had on HA. The last thing we have in our scheduled agenda, Tom, is some stuff around roadmap. I'll let you chat about this topic.
This question comes from the Slack, where people were asking what the roadmap is. So more longer term roadmap, actually, we don't really have that. And I think it's maybe good if we come up with a sort of vision of KEDA, where do we want to go over time. So I don't know what you guys think and how we can approach this.
Well, the previous topic is one of the good things to add to the roadmap. So basically enable like the multi-tenancy for KEDA.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, my preference, I do think it makes sense. My preference is to keep it like as process lightweight as possible. And so even just popping in like a project here that's like roadmap, and then we can just pop in like a few of those high level things that we've chewed about that we know we kind of want to do, and then maybe some shorter things that we know we are doing in the time frame, and then we can just kind of keep track. But I think kind of keeping it at the more epic level, something like, high availability improvements, and we maybe the item mentions this stuff, or connection reuse might be another big one. But hopefully not as granular as like individual issues, just because it becomes
should be on an
unwieldy.
epic level indeed, like extensibility, operations.
Yeah. Like cluster integration. That's something I could see is like, I'm trying to think of what project I was looking at the other day that had a roadmap that was kind of like things things that we may do, things that we know we will do, we just don't know when, and then like stuff that we're doing right now. And the stuff that like things we may do could be pretty, like cluster auto scaling is one of those things that like we may do. I'm cool to put it there. I don't think we've committed yet that we're going to do it because there's a bunch of questions, but like it'd be good to track there and people could look at it and be like, oh yeah, +1 on this or whatever else.
I pasted a link to the
Any other thoughts?
AKS roadmap, which is a bit what you suggested.
It's
But
not going to
then
let me
let's-
open this in this stupid browser because of this new whatever the crap happened in GitHub world that makes me do this for every repo. Whatever. Folks will have to follow that link on their own. I see it. But I have to open a special browser with a different profile to see anything in the Azure or Microsoft GitHub space now.
Ooh.
I know, it's a real pain in the butt. Yeah, I think this is good. I think this is a fine pattern. But yeah, again, my vote would be as process light as possible, so that like it's easy enough for us to just spend a minute or two in a stand-up and update it. I even suspect our roadmap will probably have a fraction of the things that the AKS one has. But the format is good.
I think if we want,
and I'm cool if it's deeper too. I'm more just saying like, I don't know who's going to manage it. So this is me speaking from let's do what we know we could stay on top of, is kind of what's motivating some of these comments too.
I think if we want to go to CNCF incubation, that we should also do it to have more of a vision, let's say.
So Tom, do you want to take a stab? Do you want me to take a stab at just creating the project with the templates? And I guess it'll only take a few seconds. I can throw in a few things that at least I've been chewing on. And then maybe we'll just add an item for next meeting and we can look over it and see how it looks. Is that a yes, you're going to take the stab, or you want me to?
Let's both start with the draft.
Sounds good.
I won't be able to join the next one, but I'll see what the outcome is.
It's a good item, though. I do think there's a few things that are kind of like floating around in our collective minds that even just throwing down on this project would help, especially for folks getting introduced to this.
I'll also add a special label that we can use for these kind of issues.
Sure. And like, I'm okay either way, but like I've almost, for some of the GitHub projects I use, because you can like directly add an issue that's here, or you can just kind of like add a note where you paste in other issues and it kind of loosely links them. I'm even fine if we just do the note card way. It's up to you, Tom, on how much you want. Just that way we don't necessarily have in two spots. It's fine either way. It's that, again, is something we've done from I don't want to have to go dig up the issue, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to throw a quick note here of this is something we need to look at, but either way is fine.
Do both?
Yep. For some of these, we probably have an issue floating around, and for other ones, it's like we'll just throw something on the board so it's tracked somewhere. Okay, KEDA 2.0 go live we'll talk about next week, and then the roadmap review.
The beta, shall I start this tomorrow morning, Zbigniew?
Yeah, I guess the Fridays is perfect day for this.
The downside of Thursday stand-ups is that action items end up being weekend deployments.
But this should be flawless. This should be flawless. This should be flawless.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on holiday next week, so otherwise somebody else will need to pick up.
Go ahead, Tom, with this. That's perfect for you because you will like start a release and go for the holidays. So.
And then walk away.
Exactly.
Okay, sweet.
I have one more note regarding this, or regarding the beta or V2. So if I may ask everybody, like, if they can basically please like reserve some time during the week and just take a look on the issues or discussions or Slack, because there are some good inputs from the users that are using the beta. So basically response to these users. So we have like valid response, and it is beneficial for the project, I guess.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah, that's a good call out. I might actually spend because it looks like we'll probably have some time back. I might spend the rest of the 20 minutes that I blocked for this stand-up and go review some of them myself. Not a bad idea for others on the call too, if you have a similar calendar thing. Obviously not folks in Europe. Go enjoy the rest of your evening.
My wife is waiting.
Yes. Okay, anything else anyone wants to flag on that note?
Maybe a practical question. Do we call it beta 2 or release candidate? Let's be clear. Let's call it release candidate so that we have less questions about when is it shipping.
I'm cool with
I'm
that.
fine with both, so it's up to you.
It is the release candidate, given the fact that we might go live in 2.5 weeks. So I think RC is great, Tom.
Yeah, I'll call it RC, and in the release notes, drop a note that we're aiming for releasing mid-October.
Great.
Yeah, and Jeff, do you know if Ahmed is like on, or is he like on some vacation or anything like that?
He is here. I mentioned last time he's been spending a bunch of cycles on figuring out how to integrate KEDA with some internal ways that we're doing. I was chatting to Onrud about this morning. I need to circle back. I haven't talked to him in quite a while personally. And so I just need to circle back and understand exactly where he's at and what level of engagement we should do. And so that between Onrud, Tsuyoshi, and myself, we can make sure we've got fair enough coverage to give.
Sure, no problem. There is just one open PR that would be great to be like merged before the RC release is out. So
yep. Yeah, I'll circle back. Can't like, honestly, he might even be out on holiday at this point. That's the downside of remote work, is if I have a meeting scheduled with someone, they're more or less invisible to me. So I will track that down though, and at least flag the PR for short term. So I'm glad you brought that up. Sweet. All right. Thanks a ton, everyone, for joining. I'll post the recording up on YouTube, and we will chat again in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yep.
Bye.
Take care,
everyone.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.